Welcome, everyone, to the Davenport Football Coaches Show. We are coming to you live from Uccello's in Caledonia, where we are every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. I'm Rick Berkey, along with the head coach, Sparky McEwen, of your Davenport Panthers. We'll talk about the Panthers' last game, have a special guest visitor, one of the players. Liam Kavanaugh is here tonight. We'll visit with Liam in the middle segment, and then we'll come back and talk about the next game at Grand Valley State this Saturday night. But first, Coach, we must look back at last Saturday. It's not something you necessarily want to do, but from a learning standpoint, you're still a young program, and some lessons were learned, I guess we can say, from Saturday's game.
Truly. The first thing is, you run into a team like Michigan Tech, and as the both of us discussed last week, we knew going in that Michigan Tech, they're a really good football team, and it just so happens that we're playing Grand Valley this week, and one of the teams that we're breaking down, is Grand Valley, and we watched a game of Michigan Tech, and Tech was winning with less than a minute left in the game, and it was really a good football game, but you get a good feel for who Michigan Tech is when they played Grand Valley a couple weeks ago. So we knew going in what we were up against, and quite frankly, I really felt like we didn't handle that big of a game as well as we should have.
One thing in crediting Tech, which you always give credit to the opposition when they outplay you like they did, but I thought Tech really was a good example of the expression, they know who they are. They know what they can do, they know what they can't do, and they really focus on those things.
Well, this is a team that, they're playing with a severe chip on their shoulders, and it started at the beginning of the year when all of a sudden the coaches poll come out, and you got Tech sitting there that, the coaches, they were voted, picked, last in the conference, and now all of a sudden you take a look at them, and every game's been a great game that they've played, and they're sitting at 4-2, and they're in a great race, in the GLIAC, and it's always been a really good program. It was a year ago that we beat them up there, and our kids knew how significant of a win that was, because it was kind of the program that was a signature win for us to be able to go across the bridge and win, and everyone knows it's extremely hard. Well, Grand Valley, like I said, had to pull it out in the last minute just to get a victory. So, hats goes off to Coach, and he had them ready to play. Our guys, I felt like, for whatever reason, you have a plan, and I always use the Mike Tyson cliche, and it just goes back to saying that, you go on with the plan until you get hit in the mouth. And that's just what they did. They came out, they were razor sharp, and we didn't handle that first set of flurries well. We got so far behind, and then it was just an uphill climb. But, to the kids' credit, they did something that young teams don't do, okay, and that's they came out and they played hard the second half, and just to save a little face.
It's interesting. I don't know if you remember last week at this time, just talking in general terms, we ask you about what you do with a team when they come out and are not focused and not playing the way that you thought they would, and that's exactly what happened. What was it like in the locker room, down 30-0? Because you said sometimes you just talk about, hey guys, missed assignments, and sometimes you do explode. What was it like Saturday afternoon?
Well, I've had a number of people, they said, wow, what'd you say at halftime? And I really do, Rick, think all that stuff's overrated, and I go back to preparation. I'm not sitting saying that we didn't prepare, because we know how well we prepared, and that showed in the second half, because Tech did nothing differently, and we truly did nothing differently. We actually just executed with a little more intensity, and when you have a club, like we have here, these guys are still learning how to, play at a high level all the time. And that's the things that our staff is trying to impress upon these kids, that, man, you got to be at 100 at all times. You can't be at 90. You can't be at 40. You can't be at 60. It's got to be at 100. And those are the things that, we're preaching, and we're going to continue to do this, because, great programs are built that way.
As you said, they came out down right away, got a 3-and-out, blocked the punt out of the end zone, And I saw you arguing with the officials after the safety on the block punt, and I surmised that you were you questioning that it should have maybe been illegal batting of the ball?
Yeah, I was questioning when it was batted, okay, because there's a difference, when it's batted and batted out of bounds. There's different rules to that. And that was a question. They got it right. I just couldn't see, from where I was standing. And Rick, I told you.
It's different if they bat it in the field of play as opposed to from the end zone.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we were actually discussing to try and get it right. I wanted to make sure we got it right. And for my days coaching professionally, I was one of the coaches that sat on committees for rules and things like that. And and I really wasn't sure, but I knew that there was some type of a difference. So I wanted to make sure that we got it right, just in case down the road, because there was a play in the Ashland game the week before, that I questioned, and true enough, we were right.
That one you were right, and the officials were wrong, right?
Correct.
Let's talk about the quarterback play for both DeAndre Ford and Hayden Majeski. Again, different situation when you're coming in down 30-0 as Hayden was, but DeAndre got off to that slow start like some of your other players.
No, DeAndre didn't get to a slow start. The whole team got off to a slow start. Okay. It just, no, you're right with what you're saying, but that's just, the public's eye is what the public's eye is. And I'm not concerned with the public's eye. I'm concerned with the eye of, my coaching staff and the players, and we were not doing things in a way where our offensive line wasn't protecting well, our running backs weren't doing some things well, and our receivers weren't doing things well. Our defensive line was getting moved around, and all you do is it's no different than in baseball, okay? At some point, you got to bring in the relief pitcher. You got to bring in some subs, and I have a guy in Hayden, Hayden did a good job for us. I expected him to do a good job. I expected DeAndre to play better than he did, but I expected so did I expect our offensive line. But at the same time, there were some things that happened within the game early where you want to take the quarterback out and let him see for himself, and then, put him back in if you have to put him back in. Now, in the process of that, Hayden happened to make a couple plays. Or a receiver made a play, or a running back make a play, and so at that point in time, you just ride the hot hand and you go with it.
Again, you mentioned the offensive line because there weren't a lot of holes for your running backs to gain much there in that half, right?
No,
the whole game, really.
No, it's still work in progress, but at the same time, we were playing against a scheme that it was the same scheme that other teams have had trouble with. And I talked to you about this last week. Man, they do some very unorthodox things as it relates to other teams in our conference. And it gave us some fits, and I compared them to Oshkosh, if you remember. And if you think back to our point total against Oshkosh, I think we may have scored 10 points in that game, And so we had some struggles early with protections, and then on the other side of the ball, we had guys that were uncharacteristically out of position. Okay, and once again, Tech never changed, but our guys changed, and they got it together. And I don't know if it was the moment being too big. I don't know what it was, but our discussion at halftime was really simple. I said, there's no need to watch the first half. Let's watch the second half of the tape and see if we really can make a difference in this game.
Well, one guy who did play well is who you brought along with you, Liam Kavanaugh. Maybe his best game of the year, certainly one of his best, with a team-high 12 tackles, including one tackle for loss. And Liam, just a sophomore, again, represents the youthfulness of your team, and yet the talent and the encouragement for the potential. Tell us about Liam.
Well, Liam was one of the very first that we've, that we brought in here on board, to the university. And when we talked about changing our profile of the type of and the style of athletes that we wanted to get, here you talk about a young man that he's got size. The athletes at DU when I got there didn't look like this one. Okay, he's got length. He can run. He's physical. And think about this. Last year, Liam lined up on offense as a true freshman. He lined up on defense as a true freshman. And he lines up now, and he's playing another position on defense. And he's still growing. I'm talking about growing as a football player. He's still, taking on this position of linebacker, rover, and to put that amount of pressure on a young man to have to come in and play and execute, that's a credit to him, because he's learning some things there in the process, and we hope he continues to grow and hope he continues to do big things for us.
All right, well, why don't you go over and get some of that Uccello's food. We will bring Liam Kavanaugh in right now. While he's getting in, remind you, for the third year, Davenport is hosting a raffle ticket fundraiser, and it's the largest fundraiser for the team, and you can get tickets for the raffle by going to doupanthers.com. Go to the football website. In fact, and you'll see the banner flashing right across from. Just click on it, and you can buy tickets right there. They're $20 each. Some great cash prizes, including $2,000 for first prize, $500 for second, and $250 for third. And you've got it right up until the final home game of the year, which is November 9th. So you can pick it up. Pick up your tickets online. Go to dupanthers.com. Go to the football page, and then do that. We're going to bring Liam Kavanaugh in now, our special guest, a young man, as we said, a sophomore from Holland, neighboring here, about a half hour away. Went to West Ottawa High School. First, Liam, we welcome you here. Let's talk a little bit about your high school days. You had a couple pretty good years there at West O, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a really good years, especially my senior season.
So go back to that senior year and tell us what it was like to go out for your last year of high school with success.
It was really cool. We set some records at our school. It was the first team to go 10-2, the first team to go to the regional finals, and then also win the district championship. And it was really fun to do because I had my senior teammates.
Then you come on here, and as Coach said here, you played on both sides of the ball as a freshman. What was that like for him? You did in high school, you played both, but it's kind of unusual in college level.
I think it was really cool. It was a really fun experience, and I think it did a good job of getting me prepared for this season and just knowing what to expect in college football.
Let's talk about that jump from high school to college ball. When you got out there, even in practice, before you played a game, what were the biggest differences you saw right away?
Immediately, the first thing I saw was the speed of the game and this physicality through all different types of positions in high schools. I wouldn't see as much contact from like other skilled positions like receivers and DBs, but in college, everyone hits hard, everyone's big, everyone's physical.
We talked to Coach about the disappointing first half on Saturday and how you guys turned things around. What was it like in the locker room? He said he didn't go in and start throwing chairs and stuff. He just told guys that they were disappointing everybody, and I'm sure as a player you felt the same way.
Yeah, it was a really rough first half. I felt like we made a lot of mental errors, big critical errors, and that led to points for them almost every time it seemed like. But I think we did a good job coming out in the second half, and that just kind of goes to show that you got to execute.
Liam, let's go back again maybe to your high school days. Who was influential in you and helping you become the player you are? Maybe one or two coaches or teachers that maybe helped you grow?
First, my football coach, Ryan Oshnock. I saw a lot of improvement in my capabilities when he came from Forest Hills Northern to West Ottawa my junior year. And then also one of my other coaches and mentors, Jim Ottoman. He did lots of things to help me get to where I am today.
You are majoring in supply chain management. I haven't come across that one yet. Tell us what that is and what you hope to do with it.
You kind of put me on the spot here.
Sorry.
But supply chain management, essentially, it's just trying to turn in the raw materials and making sure they get to become the finished product.
And where did that interest come from? Well,
I took an international baccalaureate program, business in school, high school. Sorry, I'm stuttering and stuff.
Sorry.
And a couple people from Grand Valley, some graduates came in, and they just kind of introduced the program and like what we would do. And
what do you do, Liam, when you're away from school, away from football, just for your own enjoyment? What do you do in your own time?
I'd say my favorite thing to do in my pastime is probably Fortnite. That's my big thing right now.
All right, you good at it?
I'd say I'm pretty good.
They always do. They everybody say, who's the best in your? Who are your roommates?
I just have one roommate, Ladero Mosley.
Okay.
He doesn't, but I'd say I'm probably one of the best Fortnite players on the team.
Let's talk a little more. Liam Kavanaugh, our special guest, a sophomore on this team. Again, had a team high 12 tackles, including one for loss. How hard is it to play when you are getting thumped as you were Saturday, and how do you fight through that to keep fighting as you guys did?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily hard. I think it's a really mental game. Physicality is something we work on every day when we lift and when we're practicing. So for me, that's kind of something I enjoy, is the contact and the physicality of the game. But I think it's just mentally being there every play.
What area or areas, Liam, do you have to get better at that you know right now?
Off the top of my head, the best thing I need to work on is my speed, no doubt. And then next after that would be my strength and size.
So the speed thing, is that something that you mostly will have to work on in the off season, or can you improve your speed during the season?
I don't know if I can drop tenths off my 40 during the season, but something I can work on is making sure I know where I have to be to make plays, and if I can do that, I can play just as fast as somebody more athletic than me.
And then in the off season, you can work on shaving that time. And how will you do that? Will that be just on your own, or specialized coaching, or working with the coaches when you can here?
Yeah, working with our strength and conditioning coach, and then also this off season, something I'm gonna make sure to do is going out on my own and getting a specialized coach or something of that nature to help me really elevate my game.
Who do you look up to on this team? One or two of the leaders that you say, that's the kind of guy I want to be when I'm a senior?
One person would be Kai Black, and that's just his tenaciousness and his physicality. And just everything he does, it's always full speed. He expects nothing but the best from himself. And you see that when he makes errors and when he makes mistakes, nobody's more upset than he is about it. And then another person I'd say would be Pat McMahon. He's a really consistent guy, and he's one of the hardest working people I know. And his name might not be called all the time during the games or not be heard a lot, but he's one of the hardest workers and best just athletes I know.
Who's the guy on the team, Liam, that you're getting drudgery of maybe of preseason practice and that? Who's the guy that can crack you guys? Who's the guy that can keep it loose? When you need somebody to kind of get you laughing or something. Who's the humor guy on the team?
That'd be Wardell Berry.
I've heard him mentioned before.
You've heard him before, yeah. He's definitely in my opinion, the funniest guy on the team.
All right. Well, Liam, you're doing a great job. We have great hopes for you, not only this year but beyond, and you're going to finish with a terrific career here at Davenport, and we wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Liam Kavanaugh, our special guest here on the Davenport Football Coaches Show. We're out here every Tuesday night at Uccello's of Caledonia. Stop out there. They're great people, terrific food. Trust me, I've tasted most of it, and I haven't found anything I don't love yet. So Uccello's of Caledonia, your place here for a great night. Again, it doesn't have to be Tuesday night, but if you're out here, maybe you get some free tickets. We'll have some tickets 1 week from tonight. The next home game is 1 week from Saturday against Wayne State at 12 noon. That's a week from Saturday, November 2nd, 12 noon, Wayne State at the Farmers Insurance Athletic Complex. This Saturday, as we're going to talk with Coach, we're at Grand Valley State, and that is a night game, 7 o'clock in Allendale. And we'll have the audio portion for you. If you want to go to the Dan, click on the free audio, and you can catch my audio call of that this Saturday. And we bring Coach McEwen back in to talk a little bit about Grand Valley State. And the Lakers have dropped one at home to Ashland 3 games ago, 20-17, but they bounced back with a couple wins against Saginaw Valley and Northern Michigan, and winning big up in Marquette. Last Saturday, the Lakers were, and that's a nice sign for their program to go up there, and that's not easy to go up there and win by 4 touchdowns.
Well, they went up there twice this year. They went up to play Michigan Tech in Houghton.
I thought they only did that to us.
Well, first of all, I don't think Grand Valley had actually traveled across the bridge in some time, so I guess the league said, hey, now that you're going back, we're going to send you up there twice. So I couldn't believe it happened, but they did, and to their credit, they were able to go up there and win twice, and that's huge in this league.
Grand Valley State, again, with the great tradition in that, and they're one of those bars that you set for your guys and your program to reach, down the road as soon as possible, right?
It is. When you think of the university and the things that they've achieved over time with all their sports and, the way they go about their business, and it's a model. It's a model for small college football across the country, and they've shown that. with having the opportunity to win, the different president cups and things like that, because they're really good in all their sports. And it's important. The sports and academics, as it ties in into their fan base and the support they get, it's important. And you like seeing things like that, especially in our country when it comes to small college football.
When you look at Grand Valley, one of the things that jumps out at you is a good running game. Kane Vesey, their running back, over 100 yards a game and averages about 6.5 yards a carry. And your defense, if you can't keep him somewhat contained, it could be a long night for you.
Well, you only mentioned one, and they got four. That are really good. So
Reed's averaging 6 yards a carry as well.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They've got a good group back there, and I'm just a fan of talent, and they've done a good job of going out and getting quality running backs, and a lot of them are in the mode of your prototypical type of guys. They've got some strong guys, they've got quick guys, they've got fast guys, but the one thing that that impresses me about that group of running backs that they have, they're competitive. Okay, they're very competitive. They don't go down on the first hit. They keep their legs turning, and they've got great vision, and they're doing some different things in their offense, and some of the things they're doing there, it gives defenses fits.
Remember, we look back to last year's game at our place, where literally one play away from beating the Lakers on a 4th and 15 play. But in that game, even though you came up that one play short, Coach, did that, do you think, strike a bell with your players, making them say, because going into the season you realize the Ferris States and the Grand Valleys are, they've won national titles, and maybe they look a little different to the guys, and then when you come that close to winning, does that get them over a bridge as far as psychologically going up against a team like that, a program like that?
Well, we talked about it a little earlier. The measuring stick, is the GLIAC period. To be able to win football games in the GLIAC is extremely tough. But obviously, Grand Valley's done it better than most over a certain amount of time. Our guys understand the significance of playing against a team of this nature. They understand that, when you think of small college football, you think of teams in our conference, and obviously Ferris State and Grand Valley comes to mind, number one. And they know the importance of going out and playing well, because these are programs that play with pride, and they respect us, and our guys know that none of the teams overlook us, and they know they're going to come out and they're going to get after us. And one of the things that good programs do, that's what they do. They come out and they get after you. Now, in the meantime, how do we respond? Okay, how do we respond? I didn't like the way we responded here to Tech, recently, and it was a team that presented an issue, for us. Now, going into this Grand Valley game, they do so many things well on offense, but their defense, and I've been familiar with Grand Valley now for some time. This might be arguably the best one that they've had. They've had some really good defenses there, but this one here, it's really hard to find areas where they're weak. Okay, they're pretty solid in every area, and solid might be an understatement. They're pretty strong in every area, So, we're going to have to make sure that we're good at things that we do well, okay? And if we can be good at things we do well and take care of the football, our boys, will give us a shot.
As we look at the GLIAC standings, Coach, you mentioned Michigan Tech, certainly one of the surprise teams, at least when you consider, as you said, that they were picked to finish at the bottom. They certainly are one. But you got to look also at Wayne State. The Wayne State Warriors, they are 3-1, and they beat Ashland last Saturday in arguably the biggest upset of the year so far in the GLIAC. And the Warriors at 3-1 are very impressive.
Most will look at that as an upset. I don't. Coach Winters is a well-respected coach in our league, and he gets his guys ready to play. And I know they lost 2 games this year early, and it was, quite handily. But the 2 programs they played were ranked in, the top 15 in the country. Okay, one in the top 15 or top 10, another one in the top 20, and so they lost to really good programs. And I always tell people it's not how you start, it's how you end. And I look at our team last year. We got out to a hot start, and we didn't do as well going down the wire. So for whatever reasons, Wayne State struggled early. They're no longer struggling, and so, looking at their record and seeing what they're doing, once again, I'm not shocked. It's the GLIAC, and at any point in time, a team could get, catch fire, and get going. So my hopes right now, my concerns is with the Panthers, and hoping that we can catch fire here at some point because, we've got some, big ball games, coming up, and with the biggest one this Saturday.
Speaking of your focus on the Panthers this week, what have you seen from them collectively since Saturday afternoon?
It started with film study. The guys were very intent, and they wanted to clean up the errors that we've made. I acknowledge the fact that they played well in the second half because that was really important to me to see what type of character we would show, and bouncing back against a team that continued to try to get after us, but we actually stepped up. Today's practice was, it was one of those practices that was important to me to see how we would respond. And it was a solid practice. It could be better, but, obviously when you're going against a team like Grand Valley, they present issues for you. So I think today was more of a, trying to, figure their way, fight their way through some things just to get comfortable with some of the things that Grand Valley does to you, because Grand Valley puts you in some very tough situations to have to, just be successful.
Let's talk a little bit about the guys that are at least redshirting so far, and the decision that you make sometimes if you get a couple of injuries in a particular position, and how difficult it can be to say, boy, I really was hoping to redshirt that guy, and now we just need to play him. How tough is that, Chad?
Well, we talk about those type of things early in the year, but I always tell people it's pretty simple. Either you're ready to play or you're not. Okay, who am I to hold a kid back if he has the ability to help this team win right now? I've got to be fair to not only the young man, I got to be fair to the collective team. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's about the team. And the team needs to find a win. We've lost 3, here, and in the fashion that we lost them, we had a very poor outing against the number 2 team in the country, and then we had a pretty good outing against a team that was ranked, in the country in Ashland, and then we came back against another team in Michigan Tech, which was a buzzsaw, where it was a tale of 2 halves. Unfortunately, you got to play a complete game. So I want to see who shows up, for the Panthers. And if some of these young boys that you're referring to happens to be guys that can help us win, we got a few of them, that each and every day in practice we're evaluating, hoping guys begin to step up. Because I don't look at it as, the middle of the season or the end of the season. To me, it all lumps in together. And when guys are ready to play, that's when we're going to get them on the field.
All right, again, Davenport at Grand Valley State this Saturday night, 7 o'clock in Allendale. And you can catch our free audio feed on the Davenport Athletics Network, dupanthers.com. Click on the free audio. Next home game is a week from Saturday, November 2nd, against Wayne State. 12 noon kickoff at the Farmers Insurance Athletic Complex. Next week, Tuesday, 1 week from tonight, we'll be right back here at Uccello's of Caledonia, and we'll be talking more Davenport football. That'll wrap it up today here from Uccello. So for the head coach, Sparky McEwen, I'm Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us, and go Panthers.